Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Israel. I am your host, Avi Abelo, here in our eternal and ancestral homeland, the land of Israel, the Judean hills, right outside Jerusalem, our capital for thousands of years since King David established it as our capital. We are living through crazy times. Crazy, crazy times. And the saddest thing about these crazy times is that so many people are oblivious to what is going on. On the one hand, people are focused on the fact that Hamas is shooting rockets at Israel, even though the world establishment media wants to focus on there being some symmetry and that Israel's at fault for us being attacked, but that's a different issue. The main problem is the spiraling out of control of anti-Semitism in the name of Palestine. And anyone who's following me knows I am quite clear about this. To me, it's quite clear. The whole cause called Palestine is anti-Semitism. It's all about killing Jews and destroying Israel. And hence, people are being attacked in London, in Los Angeles, in New York, in Paris, in Basel, Switzerland, all because they're Jewish or even supporting Israel. But if it's about creating a state of Palestine, why should Jews be attacked around the world? No, folks, Palestine is anti-Semitism. Folks, as you know, social media censorship is growing. The best way to support our video work for Israel is to subscribe to our video newsletter on pulseofisrael.com and to share our videos. If you are already a subscriber, then thank you. 2 additional ways to connect with and support Israel, they are so simple. 1, click on this link to help us strengthen Israel by strengthening Judea and Samaria. It's simple, everybody. Just click on the website and choose the best option that works for you to strengthen Judea and Samaria. And number 2, enjoy the beauty of Israel whenever you want. No matter where you are in the world, you can enjoy our online virtual tours of Israel. Just visit israelisbeautiful.com and choose the virtual video and activity package that works for you. Right now, we will be talking to Sarah Emily. Shalom, Sarah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Thank God, here in the land of Israel. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, even with the craziness of the Hamas missiles. Even though I was on the Gaza border yesterday, I was now on the Gaza border today, right? Going to the belly of the beast. Thank God was safe for us when we went down there with family members. I went there to pick up an IDF soldier, a relative, and bring him back. That's the reason. I'm not like on some kamikaze mission. It was an important mission, just so people understand the context. For sure. But you are very active for Israel online, especially on your Instagram account. You want to put your account out there so people can follow you?
Sure. So my Instagram account is Sarah Emily 95.
All right, folks. Yes. She is a warrior for the Jewish people and the state of Israel. So if you're on Instagram, follow Sarah Emily 99, right?
95.
Follow Sarah Emily 95 on Instagram. Go.
Awesome.
So what? Oh, and before we start, just everyone, censorship is horrendous. If you want the truth about Israel and the Jewish people, and you want to receive the videos from me, from Pulse of Israel, just go to pulseofisrael.com and sign up for our newsletter. All right, Sarah, what have you been experiencing the past few days, the past week?
It's just been a nightmare, honestly. You know, I've experienced anti-Israel sentiment online before. I do post a lot about Israel. I've been to Israel, I think it's 10 times now. Spent a lot of time there, lived there for a few months. I've posted, I'll post a lot of like pictures of me with Israeli flags and stuff like that. And I'll get the occasional like free Palestine or something or other. And, and that's in like normal times, and I'll just kind of delete it or block the person or whatever. But, on Yom Yerushalayim, what was it? I guess it's been about a week now. About a week
Jerusalem Day was,
ago.
yeah, last
Yeah,
Monday when this whole
right,
craziness started.
right.
Yeah, I was at
So
the Western Wall when the siren went off with my son live streaming. All of a sudden, what is going on? And had to
right.
run for cover, and the whole Western Wall Plaza was evacuated.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, just to like put things in perspective, I mean, my brother, as I mentioned to you before, is in Israel right now, in his second year of yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and he had to run into a bomb shelter, and we were just like, "What? Like the rockets never even go that far," and all of a sudden, sirens in Jerusalem. And what I think is so crazy, and I'll like get into this further, but the anti-Semitism that has been occurring on social media and like all over the world in the last week, I find personally to be somewhat like more scary than just being in Israel. Like I would actually rather be in Israel, knowing that I'm like in the scheme of things better off with like the Iron Dome and surrounded by Jews and feeling safe for like actually being a Jew, even with rockets flying overhead,
No, what you're
than
saying
what's
makes
been
total
going
sense.
on.
What you're
Yeah, it's
saying makes sense.
like
Here, culturally, sociologically,
right,
we're a safe space. Like use current terminology,
exactly.
right? The state of Israel is
Yeah,
a safe space for Jews, no
exactly.
matter the terror, no matter the missiles. You're walking down the street, and you know people are on your side. You're together. You're running
Right.
to you're running to the bomb shelter together. You know
Together.
who the
Right.
enemy is.
Right. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you know who the enemy is, and you have the Israeli police and the IDF, constantly on the watch, looking out, and like you don't have that at a random, not even kosher restaurant in Los Angeles, like what happened last night. Which, like, I mean, I'm hoping the media reports on this because so many times it doesn't even get reported, but like a group of violent Palestinians just like pulled up to a random sushi restaurant in LA last night and asked who's Jewish and proceeded to attack them. And no one sees that coming. No one's prepared for that. You don't have like, you know, Israeli police like right there ready to take action if there's Jews that are going to be harmed. Like, no, it's totally out of the blue. So it's like a completely different type of um uh fear and intimidation and than
Insecurity.
what's going on
Sure.
in Israel. It's all hate. It all stems from the same place, but it's like different tactics, different locations, different scenarios. So but anyway, so basically on Yom Yerushalayim, I posted a photo. The rockets were already flying overhead, and I was looking online, and I could see like people are still, like yourself, people are still at the Kotel. People are still celebrating Jerusalem Day as they normally would, which the parades and stuff going on in Jerusalem have like nothing to do with what's going on in Sheikh Jarrah at all. And people just somehow like make that equivalent. Oh, they're like parading around in their face or this or that. And it's like, no, this is what they always do on this day. Like, look it up. But anyway, so I posted a photo of myself that was taken like a couple years ago at the Shuk. And I can read you exactly what I wrote because it was nothing that was like super inflammatory or whatever. So this was a photo, if you can see it, taken at the Shuk, some Jerusalem memorabilia in the background. And then like a short video from 1967, from the end of the war. And I wrote, Happy Jerusalem Day. On this day in 1967, the IDF won the Six-Day War. Factual information. And the capital of Israel was reunified. Factual information. 54 years later, we're still fighting for peace. Israel has been under rocket fire today, but that won't stop us from celebrating. And then that famous quote by Golda Meir, peace will come when the Arabs love their children more than they hate us. Okay. That's what I posted. I tagged as a location tag, Jerusalem, capital of Israel. And it started out where I was getting just a couple here and there comments and stuff. But then all of a sudden, late at night, I guess when it was like early in the morning there, I started to get bombarded with hundreds of comments, of follows, messages from people. I had something around maybe like 80 or 90 messages, like message requests in my inbox from people I didn't know. 99% of them were just all hateful, anti-Israel or anti-Semitic messages. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, how do I put a stop to this? And, and at first I thought I could control it. So I was trying to like just block the people or just like delete the comments, but they started rolling in so quickly. I could not keep up. Just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? Like, how are all these people all of a sudden finding me? First of all, like, this is weird. Cause I kind of figured, okay, like I tagged Jerusalem, like maybe they saw it, but I'm like, no, like there has to be something else. And then I saw that in my inbox, and I'm so glad I checked, there was someone who wasn't anti-Israel who messaged me, and they said the reason why you're getting all of these messages is because this girl with 1 million followers posted your photo that you posted and your profile on her story and told her followers to spam you. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And this girl is like a random, I think she's Syrian or something, like lives in Los Angeles. She's in America. And I think her brother is like TikTok famous or supposedly. And so that's why she has 1 million followers, like only in 2021, right? And so this is what she posted.
Her caption, do you see the hypocrisy?
The hypocrisy? And she wrote, take her page down. I believe in you guys. Which is so ironic because it's like, you think people who are like posting hatred and anti-Semitism, like that they're going to take down my page? Like, no, Instagram doesn't allow, hatred and whatnot. Like, according to their policies, like what makes them think that they're going to take my page down with their hate? Like, it makes no sense. So clearly not the sharpest tool in the shed. And then she posted this, the face of ignorance. And then she commented on one of my pictures, something like really revolting. I don't even remember what it was, but I got so many horrible messages and comments. And then this is the girl's page, by the way. I'm hoping that maybe her page will get taken down. I don't know, but she ended up.
Did you report her?
I did. So I reported her, and I had like all my friends report her. And I actually, thank God, I was actually able to get in touch with someone from Facebook. And actually, I then also found out that a friend of mine worked for Facebook, and after I got in touch with like the first person from Facebook, he had messaged me and said, "Oh, I saw your page on like an internal feed, and like we're working on the case," which is great. That they're taking this seriously. But basically, the posts from her page were taken down eventually. She also had posted this. She's talking about me, and she goes, she blocked me because she knows. I hope you guys can get her page taken down. Remember, she is happy that her people are celebrating and dancing while innocent people die. Like, sickness. Just does not make any sense at all. Anyways, so those posts were taken down. Someone also made an account called Sarah Emily is a Killer.
You serious?
Yes. And the problem is it's a private page, and I have no idea what they're posting. I don't know if they're posting pictures of me, if they're spreading around, telling other people to spam me. Like, I have no idea. Facebook did say that they were going to remove the account, but they have yet to do so. So I am constantly following up with them and trying to see like when that's going to happen. And another person who I believe is one of this girl's followers also posted my profile telling people to harass me. So I just had like multiple people broadcasting to their followers that they should spam me. And I'll just read you. I mean, I hate to even like utter these words, but I'll read you some of the comments that I was getting, and just really, really like I got F you monsters, criminals, and terrorists. This our land and will remain our. Their English isn't the greatest, so sometimes it's hard to understand what they're saying, but you get the gist of it. Peace will come when Zionists get the F back from where they came from, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure we did just that in 1948, but okay. And then it's interesting because like, I learned a lot from when I first started getting involved in Israel activism in 2014 because, you know, during that war, I really I was like answering every message and like, you know, trying to explain everything to everyone without fully like having the understanding at that point that most of these people don't care to engage, you know, or hear the other side. But this particular comment, I was just like, for some reason, I felt like engaging. And I said, really? And where did they come from?
Good for you.
And they said, Germany, Russia, Yemen, Egypt. I don't give a blank. Just stop playing the victim. And it's like, you're not aware that all those places kicked us out.
And who's playing the victim all these years?
I mean, at least they're aware that Jews are from other places besides Europe. So, like, I guess that's
usually they just say Europe. That's true. Usually,
right. We're getting somewhere.
We're adjusting their hasbara.
Right. Slowly. A state built by killing children, elderly, and women will never be a state. A state that violates the sanctities of Islam and Christians will never be a state. A state now attacks Gaza and kills 9 of its children who had a beautiful future with their families. It will never be a state. Just crazy things like that. Then we have Nazis should have killed each and every single Jew.
There we go.
The truth comes out. I hope you and your whole generation get burned one day, and we will be dancing on that, ya Zionist, with the middle finger. Then you have the classic, it's not Israel, it's Palestine stuff, F Israel and F its people and who love, care, or even support them in the comments. Stuff in Arabic that I can't understand. Baby girl, you're embarrassing yourself. Israel isn't a country. End of discussion. I guess just because this girl on the internet says so, it's not a country.
It's crazy.
Give Palestinians their land back, then we will not hate you anymore. Gotta love that one. That's interesting because we did give back Gaza, and that clearly is not working out so well.
1, we gave away our own land in Gaza. 2, they were killing us before the state of Israel even existed back in the 20s and the 30s. So no connection, but okay. By the way, you want to know one of my favorite comebacks to them when they say like you don't belong there, give it back to the Palestinians.
Right.
I go, do you know who the first Palestinians were?
Well, yeah.
I'm like, well, the Romans created the name Palestine after they destroyed the Jewish temple. It was the Jews who were here when they named it Palestinians. And there were no Muslims here for another 700 years because Islam wasn't created.
Right.
So the first Palestinians in the world were actually Jews.
Right.
I go, you don't want to go that far back to history? Well, back in the 1920s and 30s, open up the New York Times archives. It calls the Jews Palestinians. The Arabs were called Arabs. The
Arabs didn't want to be called Palestinians. They were like offended by that name, and now somehow the tables have turned.
Yeah.
We've got some other really. You're condemning you're sick, evil people who brainwashed you. There's no God you could possibly believe. You represent nothing but destruction. This was one of my personal favorites, though.
Yeah.
I don't know why y'all keep giving her attention. She doesn't need it. She's nobody. Just ignore her and cancel her. I'm like, you know, I only have around 3,000 Instagram followers, whatever, but like, wow, like I'm so flattered that I'm somehow cancelable. Is that even a word? Like, oh, I didn't know I was cool enough, you know, at some point to be a thing, to be a trend where I could be canceled. I don't know. You're literally a disease, you and your little state. Israel isn't a country. Hope you rot in hell, you nasty Israeli ignorant blank.
Yeah, hatred is horrible.
Here it's so I had posted a video for Yom HaZikaron, which was like tying it back to the Holocaust and whatnot. And someone wrote, right? Yeah, and someone wrote, "It's gonna happen again, and we will dance again over your dead bodies."
Again. They've been trying to destroy us for 100 years. Every time they lose, it's there again. They're bringing disaster upon themselves. They're so the hatred is just sickening.
Right. I mean, you're the biggest liar. You're scum of the earth. I mean, I could like I took screenshots of like the whole thing of messages, and it's a effing Jew, F Israel, the world hates you. And actually, this was kind of, I mean, I'm glad it didn't go any like further than this, but I used to have my work email up on my personal page before I made myself a work account, which thankfully they didn't find. And they did find my boyfriend's account though, and they started harassing him too, and they started harassing my mom's account. Yeah. But I got an email from some random like spam address to my work email, and like they just sent one of those weird like spammy kind of keyboard warrior images. I don't know. But it was weird, and I'm like, okay, I hope I don't get more of this. There was also a 17-year-old, I have to see if I can find it, like a 17-year-old Egyptian guy who messaged me. Well, here's another one before we get to that. You are the most despicable people on earth, like rats breaking into, this doesn't really make sense, like rats breaking into the sled from behind the walls, but soon you'll fall into the trap. Palestine will remain a country. We will not forget the truth. You are a fake, a cheap people who had no identity.
Isn't it funny how everything they say is true about themselves and not about us?
That's not true. I don't know if they're cheap. But I love how he's conflating like left-wing and right-wing anti-Semitism in one. It's like, let's just give it to her in one shot. Let's mix the classical anti-Semitism with the new stuff. They're just
so how are you doing through this? Like, because this was just, you were just doing your thing, your regular post for Israel, and all of a sudden you got this tsunami of hatred and anti-Semitism, all because you're proud of Israel. Posting facts about Israel.
Right. I'm gonna read this one just because I can't, like, this is just insane. This, and honestly, I really think a lot of these people are like 15, 16, 17-year-olds that are doing this. They wrote, "Did you know that I am only 17 years old and I am at this age trying to find a way to leave my family in Egypt and leave my friend and all my life to come to Palestine and try to kill some of you. And I really will find the way to do this. And believe me, I am not afraid to die. And I will die with honor when I die while I kill some of you. The Egyptians doesn't afraid of anything. Biatch. I swear to you, had it not been for our president to have a peace treaty between him and you, we Egyptians would not have taken 5 minutes to eliminate you."
Just to put everything in perspective, folks, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria waged war against Israel in 1967, and miraculously, Israel beat them all back and liberated Judea and Samaria, Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, and Gaza and the Sinai Peninsula. And we beat back Egypt so badly in that war. And they started it, just like they started every war.
Right.
Crazy.
So, I mean, yeah, and it just continued for a while. I wish Hitler would rise so they burn all you terrorists. Too bad Hitler's not alive anymore. He would show you should act with people. Effing Jew, F you and F the Jews. I hope you die as soon as possible. So here's the thing. These messages, although they were like annoying, didn't really like intimidate me. Because number one, I know most of these people are literally like 17-year-olds. I actually reposted that one and I was like, oh, he's like, did you know I'm 17? And I was like, I actually kind of assumed you were probably 17. But I mean, look, you know, all these keyboard wars, I mean, the hate is disgusting. It shouldn't be taken lightly. It shouldn't be on Instagram or Facebook or any social media for that matter. But as someone who has been like involved in doing Israel activism for a while and faced a lot of this similar stuff, maybe not as intense, maybe not as blatantly anti-Semitic, but faced a lot of this kind of thing in 2014 when I first got involved, it doesn't faze me anymore. But it was like just so frustrating that my account was being flooded with it and I couldn't seem to get it to stop. And I'm like going through the, you know, the Instagram settings and like trying to figure out how I can like shut off comments and all that before it got like way too out of hand. You know, it was just a lot. It was just very overwhelming. And it was like 2, 3 in the morning here. And I'm like, I don't want to go to bed before I know that like they, you know, they don't have a way to keep messaging me and this and that. I need to like put an end to this. Cause it's harassment, you know, and especially these people that are posting my photo and stuff and telling people to spam me and harass me. You know, that obviously I wanted to try to put an end to as soon as possible.
And and the irony is all of those people, every single one, not just who shared you, but who commented and sent those hateful comments, they should all be removed from Instagram. They're all going against the policies of Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. And I know they are working on it. I know they are working on it. Like I said, I've been in contact with people from Facebook. I know they are working on it. You know, and thankfully, for anyone that's not aware, Instagram has a new feature where if you're going to block someone, you can also choose to block them and then like the same person, any future accounts that same person might create, which is a good feature that can, you know, prevent some hatred from coming your way. But in any case, you know, I know they definitely are working on it, and they are working on removing the accounts of some of these people, but it's, you know, there just are so many of them.
It's whack-a-mole. That's what I call it.
It's really whack-a-mole. Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. It's going to take a long time, and you know, a lot of people are going to have to continue to report this stuff. And sometimes, unfortunately, the way that they disguise what they're saying and whatnot, like Instagram won't really recognize it as being hateful. And so that's why I'm so glad that I was, you know, put in touch with some of these people that work for Facebook. And, you know, if anyone is watching this and they're experiencing the same kind of hate, you know, and you have screenshots and stuff, like, please feel free to, like, you know, send them to my Instagram page, you know, get in contact with me and I'll send them over or put you in touch. 'Cause this is happening to a lot of people, not just me. It's happening to tons of people. Like pretty much anyone that's speaking out about this and, you know, in Israel's favor is just getting like totally slammed.
Yeah. And it's interesting because listen, you know me, my whole profile is about being active for Israel. That's why I'm on social media, just to get the truth about Israel and the Jewish people out to the world. And interestingly, I've never been attacked by blatantly Arab Muslims with anti-Semitic comments like what you're describing right now. Never until last week. All of a sudden, my post got flooded. I'm like, where did they come from? So it definitely seems that there's, first of all, it always existed, right? And it always
Right.
was happening on a lower flame.
Right.
Something happened last week. There must be some online campaign going on where people like the girl who shared your profile,
Right.
or they're putting together spreadsheets of Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts and
Right.
like spreading them out to people, saying, everybody attack, like attack dogs. And the sad thing is, I'm going to preface this. We're going to win this, folks. All right. I'm an optimist. We're going to win this. We're going to win in Israel. We're going to win on the world. But this specific battle of beating these online Palestine anti-Semites, we're not going to win. They're just we're not going to win. Right. And no matter how many friends we have in Facebook or Instagram or Google, they're not going to be able to do the job. There's just too many rules, procedures, policies, whatever. Even if you don't want to go there to say that it's slanted against us, doesn't make a difference. It's just too much, and the numbers are too big of our enemies out there who are coming out of the woodwork with all of their disgusting hatred. We're not going to win. So then the question is, all right, well, Avi, if you're so pessimistic about not being able to win this online war against anti-Semitism, what's the message? How do we move on? How do we continue? How do we beat them even though we can't win because their numbers are so big? So love to hear what your perspective is, and I'll throw in mine.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think there's a number of factors here. You know, for one thing, you have, you know, more people today than say in 2014. You know, you have Instagram is bigger now. You know, the sharing of videos and sharing of information is like even faster. You know, and then you have these like social justice warriors that have made Palestine their cause. You know, and even like taken advantage of other causes just to push this anti-Israel agenda. Even conflating like Black Lives Matter with Palestine, which had like one has nothing to do with the other. And, you know, you have these like innocent people like rallying for Black lives who somehow get like pulled into the mix thinking that somehow Palestine is their cause also. And it's like they don't even realize their own cause is being hijacked by these people. But, you know, I think the big problem is now with everyone, you know, getting like so up in arms about these causes, even if it's something that they have like no ties to or they really like don't know anything about it. It's just spreading so quickly and being spread by, you know, these celebrities like Gigi Hadid and Trevor Noah and, you know, people like that have been, you know, speaking out and spreading all these lies about Israel. You know, people see this stuff and people are so quick to want to jump onto some sort of like human cause. And because this was being portrayed as that, and the Palestinians are being portrayed as like the downtrodden in this situation, that like naturally people want to step up and say something. But, you know, most of these people just like do not have all the information.
Well, here's the thing. It's not naturally want to stand up and do something. Okay. Because here's the thing. I just made this post a few days ago, maybe yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm trying to find it.
Not on our side. But not on our side. People aren't willing to do it on our side.
Right. No, here we go. This is a friend of mine. This is a Muslim from London or from England.
Yeah.
Who I interviewed him and I heard his story. He was going to be a suicide bomber himself or a terrorist.
Yeah.
He ended up like moving so far away from it that he ended up converting to Christianity. And now he works for Kufi. His name is Kasim Hafiz. And he just
I know who that is. Sure.
Yeah. So he posted just a reminder that over 207,000 civilians have been killed in Syria, with at least 25,000 being children. But it seems that memo didn't get to the celebrities and influencers who care so deeply about human rights and are now experts on the Israel-Palestinian conflict, which means even though it seems like, oh, people just want to get involved because this is a human rights issue, this is the flavor of the day of social justice warriors. No, it's not the flavor of the day, because they ignore horrendous human rights abuses all over the world, where children are being massacred in huge numbers, but yet they only focus on Israel. Why? Because it's anti-Semitism. It's just getting people's kishkas. Oh, I can bash the Jew. Oh, I can get away with this. Oh, wonderful. I'll be looked like a virtue signaler. I'm a social justice warrior. Bash the Jew. Bash Israel.
I definitely hear what you're saying. I definitely agree with that. However, those conflicts that you're referring to, that people should be outraged about, they're not getting the media attention. They're not getting the celebrities talking about them.
Exactly.
So the people who are following are just like following the people that are posting about this stuff. You know, I have a friend.
Well, before you continue, Sarah Emily 95, right, on Instagram. Sarah Emily 95.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Good. We'll put it up here so everyone can see.
So I'm in a position these days where, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, like the majority of the people who I follow and interact with, I guess in social media and in real life, are either fellow Jews who support Israel or like close friends of mine who aren't Jewish, but because of like being friends with me or other factors, they support Israel and they are against anti-Semitism. They totally get it, whatever. And I think sometime around 2014 and further on, I ended up like defriending and not really like associating with people who were like, in my circles, but like saying bad things about Israel anymore. So I haven't actually seen a ton of people in my circles posting that stuff. It also could really just be the algorithm of Facebook and Instagram, like just showing me the people I interact with the most and whatnot. But there have been a few, and certainly like friends of mine have like sent me stuff of like people that like they've started engaging with and whatever. But like I have one friend in particular who another friend brought to my attention that like he was posting stuff, and I'm like, this is so weird. I don't know why he would do that. Like I know him pretty well, and he knows that I've like been to Israel, and why would he think Israel would be like doing these things, whatever. And and I started having a conversation with him, and and he clearly was like not very knowledgeable of the conflict at all, but like saw what was going on in Sheikh Zara and was like, well, I see that they're getting evicted from their homes, and I'm an immigrant and I know what that's like. And so because he empathized with that, that's what triggered him to share it. And it's like, right, but that's just like a small piece of a very larger picture that you're not understanding. And once I started engaging with him, he definitely realized that there was a lot more to it than he understood, and he was trying to research and stuff. But I think that's what we're seeing, is that like there's certain aspects of this conflict that people can somehow relate to or try to relate to, even if they're not seeing the whole picture. And then they're like, oh, well, I can empathize with this, so like I want to post it, but they're posting it not realizing how much damage it's doing, how it's just, making the anti-Semitism that's going on even worse. And like, it's what's the word? Like empowering is not really the right word, but it's
enabling and it's inciting.
It's enabling, exactly. And then what I think is going on is it's enabling these anti-Israel people to feel more powerful, because they're like, look how many people are behind us. It's
they're getting legitimacy. They're getting legitimacy specifically from Jews. Hey, we got all these Jews also attacking Israel. We're good. We're good.
Right. And what's crazy, what I thought, like one of the craziest things that I thought to like come out of the last week is these popular accounts like Refinery 29, which I used to follow, not anymore, and like, I don't know, Diet Prada and all these random accounts sharing posts from like Jewish Voice for Peace, which is literally like a fringe group, like not the mainstream. Jewish people,
Anti-Israel.
like, large, do not back them at all. And they're sharing things from these fringe groups, and you never used to see that. It was like, no one knew who JVP was. They're like doing their own little anti-Israel thing. Nobody knew who they even were. And now all of a sudden, these celebrities and big pages with a lot of followers are like putting them on the map because they see something that, you know, they're posting that they like, that's like related to how they see the conflict. Right. It just like, it blew my mind.
And here's the sad thing. This is where like, it makes me cry. I mean, I'm a student of history, so it makes total sense, and history is repeating itself, but it makes me cry, and it's so sad. All of these Jews who are bashing Israel and enabling our enemies to empower them with even more hatred for Jews and Israel. Well, if they're sitting at that restaurant in Los Angeles or New York and London, and some anti-Semitic Arab, Muslim, Palestine folks ask them, are you a Jew? And then start beating them up, they're not going to ask, what did you post last on Instagram for or against Israel? They will attack them because they're Jewish. And here you have all these Jews joining the attack on their own homeland, throwing their own people under the bus, not recognizing that as this tsunami snowball grows, it's going to come and bite them in the behind as well. And they're oblivious to it, which is the sadness about it all.
Yeah, I mean, they don't realize like Hamas wants to kill them too. Like, hello. And I just want to say, by the way,
and wait, before you continue, like Hamas is even killing Arab Muslims, Israeli citizens. They don't care who they kill as long as they're targeting Israel. They're even killing Arab Muslims. You think they're going to care if they're attacking you on Los Angeles or New York?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I saw this video that was posted by Middle East Eye, which like posts a lot. They post a lot of anti-Israel garbage. But they posted this video of this Palestinian girl speaking, and she's like on the verge of tears, and she's like, I want to be a doctor. Like, what do you want me to do in this situation? And like, I feel for these children because they're in this mess, and they're being taught that it's Israel's fault, which is what like continues the fighting and continues the conflict for generations, because this is what they're being taught, rather than like, no, Israel is not at fault here. Like, you are in the position that you're in because of Hamas.
Right. And just to give context for people, that video specifically, I saw that same video. It was a girl in Gaza, and she's standing there next to the ruins, of whatever building that was ruined, next to other Gaza kids. Right. And UNRWA, which gets funding from the EU, from the United Nations, America, even though President Trump stopped it, they run the educational system there, which is run by Hamas people. Their educational books teach children, even kindergarten kids, to hate Jews and kill Jews. Like they're being educated from being little kids to hate and kill Jews. So there's no cycle of violence. There is one side that is being educated at a young age, even from the mother's milk, to hate and kill Jews, and that's why there is violence. There's no rest of the story. That's it. That's the story. And yet they know how to use these children, because the West loves, crying kids. We have to get emotional. We have to connect with these kids. They're being abused. It's child abuse. It's really child abuse by our enemies that the world media is a party to. They're allowing these kids to be abused. They're using them. They're putting them on prime time and showing them off as if, oh my God, look at these little kids. But they're being abused, and everyone is just going along with it, not caring about the truth.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say,
here we go. We got a hater making a comment by us.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
We're calling you out, Aftab. Israel is a terrorist state. Child killers hope Hamas showers you with rockets. Aftab, you are a killer. We will be reporting you to Facebook to have you removed. May you enjoy your 72 raisins up in heaven. Yes, because we all know in Islam the word virgin is really a raisin, Aftab. Go enjoy life, Aftab. All right, next.
Anyways, So it's actually ironic that happened as I was about to say this, but I was going to say, you know, as much as it's been so like frustrating with all the hate messages and everything, occasionally I will get a message from either someone who like, you know, isn't tied to the conflict, but they just want to like know more, which is fine, which is good. It's like, we welcome that. Like, don't start posting stuff you don't know about. Like, ask questions to the people that are actually involved in this conflict and hear what they have to say. That's number one. Number two, it's also been refreshing. I've actually gotten, I mean, it's a sad percentage, but I think I've gotten about maybe like 3, maybe 4 Arabs that have messaged me that are like, hey, like, you know, just like messaging you respectfully, want to hear your thoughts on things, like this is where I'm coming from, or like, hey, I'm Muslim and I just want to say, you know, I think it's terrible what's going on. I just wish there could be peace for everyone. And like, that's the stuff that actually like gives me hope. And, you know, I'll gladly engage with these people one-on-one, because it's like, yeah, if you're going to reach out and you want to have a respectful dialogue, like I'm not going to block you. Sure. Like we can talk about it. And there's this Jordanian guy who I've been exchanging messages with who actually lives in Los Angeles. And he's like, well, I don't understand. Like, Israel's killing children and this and that. And the IDF is targeting children. I'm like, listen, I'm like, here's what you need to understand. I'm like, the IDF runs on Jewish values. It's a Jewish state. The IDF runs on Jewish values. The one thing that we value the most of anything in Judaism is human life, innocent human life. And I'm like sending him the videos of the IDF dropping, you know, the leaflets and calling people and telling them like, we're going to be bombing this area at this time, get out of the way, you know, and he like didn't even know anything about this. He was like, well, why would they be messaging them? That's ridiculous. Like, no one would do that in a time of war. And I'm like, well, that's the point. Like the IDF is not a typical army. We're not a typical people. Like we do care about innocent human life, and you can see it for yourself. Like, here's the proof. Here are the videos. We don't want to be killing children. And I've been trying to push this point the last several days because I think it's so important. It's like, you have to think about, okay, what are the goals of each side? What are the intentions of each side? Because that's really what it comes down to at its core. What does each side actually want to gain? And it's like, as Jews and as Israelis, like, we want peace. That's it. We don't want anyone innocent killed. We want, you know, anybody who wants to kill innocents and anyone who wants to destroy us, we want destroyed. But other than that, it's fine. And it's like, if we really had the intent of killing innocent people, if we really had the intent of killing children, wouldn't we have just completely wiped out Gaza years ago? Wouldn't we every day just be like throwing bombs left and right and just murdering people? And you know, who knows, maybe even to like, there are people that live in Israel if it's just that like we don't like Arabs or Muslims or whatever.
Russia would have carpet bombed Gaza. America would have carpet bombed Gaza. Egypt would have carpet bombed Gaza.
Right.
Iran would have carpet bombed Gaza.
Right. If that was the objective, why would we not have just done it already? I mean, the girl in that Middle East Side video was saying, oh, it's because they don't like Muslims. And it's like, no, that's not it at all. And like, I feel for this girl who's growing up and thinks that that's the reason why. And it's like, no, that is totally not the goal. We have no desire to do that. But like, look at the intentions and the goals and the desires of the other side. They want innocent people dead. They want Jews dead. Look at their charter. It's so clear. And how you have people who are like supposedly standing up for human rights, but they don't care at all about the lives on the Israeli side, only one side. It makes no sense. That's where the hypocrisy is. Miss, whatever her name is, that posted, I think her name was actually also Sarah, unfortunately. But anyway.
Just to expand the hypocrisy, here you have people attacking you, saying you're killing children. Like, I care about human rights. You're killing children, but we wish you dead, and we wish Hitler was alive, and we wish Hitler killed all of you, and we're going to celebrate when you're killed and you put in the ovens.
Make it make sense, Avi. Make it make sense.
I'll tell you, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. It makes sense because Jew hatred, aka anti-Semitism, is not rational.
No.
It's not rational. It's emotional, it's ideological, and unfortunately, in this case, it's also religious. I mean, I can send you the link right now of a Muslim Palestinian woman who she just recently made a video saying, "Yeah, we hate you. We're taught to kill Jews. We are taught." She says this herself. Like she's left Islam. Mm-hmm. So she's exposing the truth. She goes, "Oh yeah, plenty of times the Quran says Muhammad tells us kill Jews." So people who again, I'm all for saying this. Not every Arab Muslim agrees with this, right, but it exists. It's emotional. It's ideological, and yes, there's a religious component as well. Not every Arab Muslim believes it, right, but it exists there, and we can't ignore that. Like the Jewish world, by ignoring that, we're never going to be able to solve it. Like, who cares if we have the billions of them online attacking us? So long as we, the Jewish world, are not able to accept that, yes, we want to live peacefully with those Arab Muslims who want to live peacefully with us, but we are ignoring the fact that there is a kernel of Jew hatred, aka anti-Semitism, in Islam itself that's now been hijacked by this movement called Palestine, and right, ignoring it is not going to make it go away. It's going to make it grow. Yeah. And that's my biggest beef with Jewish leaders and communal leaders and organizational leaders. They ignore it all. They just play the political correctness, right, and it's making things even more dangerous for all of us. Yeah. And so I'm sorry you have to deal with this, but I'm glad, I'm saying thank you on behalf of the Jewish people that we have a warrior like yourself, that you're able to take the heat and move forward and keep on spreading the truth, because it's not simple. It's not easy at all.
It's not. But honestly, Avi, like that's just what I feel is my responsibility as a Jew. It's not like I don't want to be a hero. Like I just want to do the right thing. And unfortunately, there are a lot of other Jewish people out there that like they don't say anything. And I'm waiting to see at what point we have to get to in order for them to say something. Right. Like even people that I know support Israel, it's like, I've seen you post about this and I've seen you post about this cause and this cause. Your own people are being attacked. Not even just in Israel, but like anti-Semitism all over the world. And you're not saying anything. You've probably been to Holocaust museums and this and that, maybe visited Israel. You were probably thinking, oh, during, the Holocaust, why didn't anybody say anything? And it's like, you're a Jew and you're not saying anything. Like, how do we expect other people to speak up for us? You're not even speaking up for us. And that's been unfortunately a concern as well. It's sad to see both, Jews and non-Jews that just, say nothing. And that's damaging, especially when you have so many people who are outspoken with the hatred.
Yep. Listen, I'm gonna end up with on that note. I'll share with you how I expressed that, because I just wrote this back on just a few days ago on the 15th. I wrote, to all the Jews, rabbis, organizational leaders, and there are many, and Jewish celebrities with their huge platforms who are either siding with our enemies, aka Natalie Portman, or issuing neutral messages, equalizing the two sides, aka Mayim Bialik and even Gal Gadot, you are stabbing your own people and homeland in the back. There is no other side. There are your people, and there is our enemy trying to kill Jews and destroy the Jewish state of Israel for one reason and one reason only, to destroy the Jewish state of Israel and kill Jews. All those Jews who deny that truth have chosen the wrong side. They are adding fuel to the fire of the biggest anti-Semitic blood libel in history, called Palestine. And then I continue. And then I wrote, and to all the rest of you, spread the truth about Israel, the Jewish people, and the genocidal cause called Palestine. These are my words. That was never interested in living peacefully side by side. You do not have the privilege to remain silent. This is about all of us. And that's the critical piece that so many of our fellow Jews don't get. They're either siding with the enemy, or they're quiet because, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get bashed by my friends, by my colleagues, by family. not realizing, well, if you don't stand up, you're going to be eaten up by this tsunami, whether or not, if not tomorrow, the next week, the next month, the next year. And we don't have a privilege in being silent. So,
yeah. Well, you know, I think there's also, I just have to say, I think there's also a percentage of people that don't understand that, like, you can be a Zionist and you can support Israel's right to defend itself and, like, you know, condemn Hamas and all those things. And, like, you can still have a heart for any, like, you know, innocent people that are in this, like the Palestinian children that are growing up in this hateful environment. Like, just because you support Israel doesn't mean, like, you just, like, hate everyone else. Like, that's not how this works. And I think there's people that, like, don't understand that there's, like, a space for that and that exists. And, like, you can want everyone to hopefully, God willing, one day, like, live together. Because the reality is, like, we're not going anywhere and they're not going to disappear off the map either. And, like, we have to find a way to move forward together somehow, you know?
Well, following that, and the truth is, I've been saying this for a year, a true liberal, right, a true person who cares about human rights supports Israel, because it's Israel that gives freedom and equality to all of our minorities. And the Arab Muslims who live in Israel are the most blessed Arab Muslims in the whole Middle East. Meaning supporting Palestine means supporting the Palestinian Authority that tortures its own people. Means supporting Hamas that tortures its own people. So if you truly care about these Arab Muslim children in Gaza, then you only have one choice: to support Israel. And if you are going against Israel, all in the belief that you care and your human rights and you're a liberal progressive, well, you are a hypocrite, and you're enabling those children to be used as human shields by the people who you're supporting, and stabbing in the back Israel, the one state that cares more for these Arab Muslim children and people than any other Arab Muslim country in the Middle East. And it's that clear if anyone actually was interested in asking the questions to research the truth. And too many people don't want to go there. They just want to be virtue signals and look good to their friends and in online communities.
Yeah.
Wow, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Stay strong.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you.
I just want to say, I have actually seen a lot of people within the Jewish community post stuff about this that don't normally comment on it, which I think is really amazing and an improvement. And, like, hopefully, you know, we keep moving that direction. I want to, you know, help to, like, empower, you know, all of my Jewish brothers and sisters around the globe, you know, that are dealing with this situation. Like, don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to say something.
So I'm going to give you a little push right now, Sarah. Okay. Because we have a comment here from someone watching, a good friend of mine here in Israel, Daniel Seaman, who actually was he ran media for the government for years, running the press office, the government press office, very involved. And he wrote, "The problem is our kids, even Israeli kids who are on social media all the time and exposed to this vile hate. Let's call it Instagram or TikTok, and they have no idea how to deal with this." So I'm going to throw a bone to you, Sarah. Start taking advantage of your platform, not just to continue making these posts, but giving tips and offering for kids to follow you or join you for whatever lives you do, and to help teach them how to deal with it, since you are in the thick of it and you are doing it and you're one of the strong ones and you have so much to give over for the kids of this generation to learn from. I'm an Altakaka already. I'm hardly even on Instagram. I just don't have the time for it already. There was a time where I was full-time on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and it just overtook my life. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. I got to be focused. I have a life. I have kids. I can't be full-time on this whole social media. I've scaled back over the years.
Yeah.
But you're there, you're on Instagram, and there are all these kids out there. Just an idea to throw out there, and I'll help you. I'll help get the word out so that kids know to follow you and learn from you.
I'm happy to help. I'm happy to be a resource however I can. I mean, thankfully, there's several of us out there doing this type of work, and you know, as a start, I would say just start following those accounts. If you need suggestions, happy to help. Shoot me a DM, you know, and see what organizations are around in your area that can help, whether it be, you know, Stand With Us does great work. I mean, they're the ones that really helped me, you know, find a voice with this situation years ago. But there, you know, there's other organizations out there too. You know, get on the internet and check it out. Bless you. Bless you. But yeah, I'm happy to help and be a resource in any way I can. So please shoot me a message.
All right, wonderful. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing everything with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Stay strong. Remember, the Jewish people, we got your back. And more than that, God has our back. The true Iron Dome protecting us all the time. So, yep, the one above. So thank you very, very much, and stay safe.
Thank you. You too. You stay safe. I'm Yisrael Chai.
I'm Yisrael Chai. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Sarah. I hope you enjoyed today's talk with Sarah. And if you have kids who are on social media, Sarah Emily 95 on Instagram. Tell them to go follow her now, immediately, and follow to be able to learn and get tips and hear about other accounts they should be following. And yeah, I could definitely say that I know I have kids, and it's thanks to them following other good accounts on whatever platforms they're on, that they are more knowledgeable and more confident. It's all about feeling confident in your knowledge so you can stand up to the haters out there and not let you sway you or sway your kids, etc. So folks, I'm going to sign off for another episode of the Pulse of Israel here in our eternal and ancestral homeland. If you are not a subscriber, please, you want to continue receiving my videos, pulseofisrael.com. Just go to my website, pulseofisrael.com, and subscribe, because censorship is growing. It's harder and harder to get our videos seen. So please just go to pulseofisrael.com and subscribe to continue receiving the videos that I'm putting out there with unbelievable people like Sarah, who I try to interview every once in a while as well. Signing off, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hold on to your faith. We're going to make it through this, folks. We are going to make it through it, and it is up to us, and it's up to holding on to our faith and staying connected to the Jewish people, staying connected to our roots, staying connected to Israel. If you're not here yet, come home, because even as Sarah explained, yes, there's some confidence level, comfort level of being in Israel, even with the terror, even with the rockets. Here we're home. There's a sense of belonging and purpose and societal belonging that's much harder to feel when Jews are living anywhere else in the world. Everyone, take care, and thanks for watching. Shalom from the land of Israel, the ancestral and eternal homeland of the Jewish people.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.